Well, church, we are so happy and glad to be joining you for another time of worship. It is our Good Friday worship set, and typically this is a time of reflection and a time of somberness, but the cross, the crucifixion, the story of Jesus taking our place is also a time of worship, a time of praise. So as we come into these songs, we want to lift up a praise. We want to lift up our hearts to the Lord. So you may know these songs. If you do, please join with us and sing. Or if you don't, if it's a new song to you, would you just take a moment and reflect on the words and just maybe offer up a prayer to Him today. But would you join with us as we sing?
Your glory is so beautiful.
choose to worship. I choose to bow. Where there's pain in the offering, I lay it down. Here in the conflict, when doubt surrounds, though my soul is unraveling, I choose you now. I will praise you through the fire, through the storm and through the flood. There is nothing that could ever steal my soul. In the valley, you are worthy, you are good when life is not. You will always and forever be my song. I build my altar right here and now. In the midst of the darkest night, it won't burn out. For you are perfect, no matter what. In the joy of the suffering, I sing it loud. I will praise you through the fire, through the storm and through the flood. There is nothing that could ever steal my soul. In the valley, you are worthy, you are good when life is not. You will always and forever be my song. When the enemy says I'm done, I lift my praises. When my world comes crashing down, I lift my praises high. Till the darkness turns to dawn, I lift my praises. I choose to worship, I choose you now. When the enemy says I'm done, I lift my praises. When my world comes crashing down, I lift my praises high. Till the darkness turns to dawn, I lift my praises. I choose to worship, I choose you now. I choose to worship, I choose you now. I will praise you through the fire, through the storm and through the flood. There is nothing that could ever steal my song. In the valley, you are worthy, you are good when life is not. You will always and forever be my song. When the enemy says I'm done, I lift my praises. When my world comes crashing down, I lift my praises high. Till the darkness turns to dawn, I lift my praises. I choose to worship, I choose you now. And I choose to worship, I choose you now. I choose you now. When I stand accused of my regrets, and the devil roars his empty threats, I will preach the gospel to myself that I am not a soul condemned. For Jesus Christ is my defense. My sin is nailed to the cross, my soul is healed by the scars. The weight of guilt I bear no more. Praise the Lord, praise the His blood will plead my innocence. I will worship Him with holy hands and raise a song that never ends of Jesus Christ, my righteousness. My sin is nailed to the cross. My soul is healed by the scars. The weight of guilt I bear no more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. My sin is nailed to the cross. My soul is healed by the scars. Now I'm alive forevermore. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord.
So if we take a look at Matthew 27, starting in verse 11, it says this. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus said, "You have said so." But when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. And then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear how many things they have to testify against you?" But he gave no answer, not even to a single charge, so that the governor was greatly amazed. Now, at the feast of the governor was accustomed to release for the crowd any one prisoner that they wanted. And they had a notorious prisoner named Barabbas. So when they had gathered, Pilate said to them, "Whom do you want me to release for you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ?" For he knew that it was out of envy that they had delivered him up. Besides, while he was still sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent word to him, "Have nothing to do with this righteous man, for I have suffered much because of him in a dream." Now the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and destroy Jesus. The governor again said to them, "Which of the two do you want me to release for you?" And they said, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "Then what shall I do with Jesus, who is called Christ?" They all said, "Let him be crucified." And he said, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they shouted all the more, "Let him be crucified." Now, when most people read that passage, they focus on Jesus and what was immediately happening at that point. He'd already been betrayed by a disciple, Judas. He had been taken to the high priest and to the council. He was accused of blasphemy, spit on, and had been denied by some of his best friends. Now, he was in front of the governor, Pilate, and the crowd was calling for his death. We read this and we put ourselves in the place of each person involved. Jesus is innocent of the crimes he's been accused of, yet he stands silent, knowing that he's there to do his Father's will. I think it's hard to put ourselves in Jesus' place because we know none of us would be able to stay quiet in that situation. We become furious when someone falsely accuses us, even for the smallest thing. And in a life or death situation, I don't think any of us would be able to say anything less than to fight for our lives. Seeing things from Pilate's view isn't any easier. Most of us will never be put in the position to having to decide someone's fate, especially in a life or death situation. Pilate wanted to be done with the entire ordeal. If he did what he knew was right, his political career might be over. He ultimately did what would satisfy the crowd, to keep the peace, even when he knew it was the wrong thing to do. And what about the crowd? Many of us are convinced that if we'd been there, we would have stood up for Jesus. But I think that's the easiest thing to say in hindsight. How many times have we stood by and allowed injustice because we were afraid of getting involved or we were afraid of our loved ones? Even worse, How often have we been the ones demanding our own sort of justice caught up in popular opinion or selfishness? But you know what? I'll bet there's one person most of us don't give another thought about. And that's Barabbas, right? We know his name. We don't know his crime, other than it's being referred to as notorious. And once we read about Barabbas being freed and Jesus being scourged and sentenced to death, Barabbas ceases to occupy our minds. Our focus returns to what is happening to Jesus. But of all the players that are in this passage, Barabbas is the one we should probably relate to the most. None of us like to compare ourselves to the big sinners, and we can't imagine why we should. We don't think our sins are that bad. We compare ourselves to someone like Barabbas, undeserving of freedom, getting what he deserved, getting justice, and think, thank God I'm not like that. In fact, we're so busy being righteously indignant at his pardon that we've probably never stopped to think what Barabbas actually thought in that moment. If condemning Jesus doesn't make sense to us when we read that passage, how much sense did it make to Barabbas himself when he was told he could go free? He didn't pass up the opportunity to get out of jail free, literally. We don't ever hear another word about him, but there's no way that he wasn't a changed man. Did he go out with joy and change his life around? Did he go back to his old ways? Did he spend the rest of his life looking over his shoulder thinking that the governor was going to change his mind? Or did he watch from the back of the crowd at Calvary as Jesus died? Freedom has its dangers. We can fall again into old habits and the bondage of sin, or we can embrace the new life we've been given. We don't know what Barabbas did with his freedom, but we do know this. Barabbas got his freedom the same way we got ours. Jesus died in his place. In God's eyes, our sins are no different than those of Barabbas. Somehow we get this idea that we deserve life more than he did, but the truth is, this is exactly what salvation is all about. We don't deserve it. We've never deserved it. And there's nothing we could do to have ever earned it. But there it is anyway. The gift that allows us to spend eternity with God. That day, today, the day we call Good Friday, Jesus died on the cross. If we take a look a little further in Matthew 27:50, and Jesus cried out with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit. But the awesome thing is the chapter doesn't end there. His story isn't over. Jesus' death is not the end, and the best is yet to come. If we keep taking a look, let's continue through Matthew 27, starting at 51, right after Jesus took his last breath. The curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth shook and the rocks were split. The tombs also were opened, and many of the bodies of the saints who'd fallen asleep were raised, and coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. When the centurion and those who were with him, keeping watch over Jesus, saw the earthquake and what took place, they were filled with awe and said, "Truly, this was the Son of God."
Oh, there was a battle, a war between death and life, and there on a tree, the Lamb of God was crucified, and he went on down to hell. He took back every key. He rose up as a lion. He set all the captives free. There ain't no grave could hold his body down. Oh, there ain't no grave could hold his body down. There ain't no grave could hold my body down. There ain't no grave could hold my body down. If you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. If you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. If you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. Yes, if you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. Yes, if you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. If you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. Oh, if you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. Yes, if you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. Yes, if you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. If you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. Following Jesus. If you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. Oh, if you walked out of the grave, I'm walking too. There ain't no grave could hold this body down. No, there ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. When he heard the trumpet sound, I'm gonna rise up out of the ground. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. There ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. There ain't no grave